Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight. We're going to get started. Hey, it's okay. I realized it's the week after break. We just met a few weeks ago, but in order for us to really kind of continue the journey and conversation about our plan, we need to continue to meet. Just a couple things. We are videotaping tonight. With the board members here and everything, it's being broadcasted. So we have Becky Nelson here, who represents Union, and Dave Yount, who represents Needham. Fun fact, they're also the two that are up. This year, their term would be up. So a new change in the cycle. It's in November this year, so as we travel forward. So welcome to them. We may have Debbie Jen Mankin come. There's first home track meet is tonight. We've got baseball up on the hill for the first time. And then we have middle school tennis out here at CBIS. So it's a busy, busy time of year. But speaking of middle school, we're going to talk about that. A couple things on the agenda. We're going to review a little bit from our last meeting, give some highlights of what we saw and heard. And then I've asked the two principals of their respective schools, Mrs. Moran, Mrs. Holman, to share a little bit about what's it like to be a middle schooler for us. And then also their last slide, it was like, what keeps them up at night as they think about the future of middle school and how that plays out. Brooke's going to talk a little bit about the accountability model. It is shifting in the state of Indiana. We're going to get letter grades again for the first time. The good news is we're going to get those. They're supposed to happen to us by the end of the year, and we have no idea what the date is going to be. So that's going to be really nice. But that's okay. We'll actually, I think, do quite well. They did do some tweaks and make it, I think, a little bit better than the last model that we had. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and then we'll finish up with group discussion about the middle level. When we got together last time, I had you guys do stars, like things that you wanted to make sure we hit. So here you see on the slides, 19 is teacher retention. So one of the things we need to make sure as we talk about the future of our strategic plan is that we have a strategy to make sure teacher retention matters, pay and class size. Mr. Ahouse ran some really good data for us here recently, looking at class size from 2019 to now, and we'll be sharing that kind of in the future. But thankfully the referendum last time really helped us with that very first thing, and I thank the community a lot for that. Number two, and I'm not going to read all these because you will have this slide deck after tonight's presentation. I'll send it back out like we did before. If we don't have your email, please make sure that you write it on the white paper you're going to get, and we'll make sure you get it added. But life skills and entrepreneurship is another one. Interestingly enough, I met with the freshmen and sophomores this week, and we talked to them about what they would like to see. Because like I told them, they probably don't want a 60-year-old person telling them what education is going to look like in 8 years. One of the things that they said was continue to provide opportunities and experiences. ASL was actually one of the number one things they said as far as a foreign language option for the kids. And the second one was the same as your second one, giving them experiences and job exposures. We talked a lot about CBIS and their career fair and how it's kind of related to what happens at C9. They're like, oh, is that really what that was supposed to be? So they said the intentionality, but also giving them that opportunity to interact with a lot of different professions so that when they're in 11th and 12th grade in the future, they are out and about. And then just alternative classes, did you talk about that? Building level grade configuration. We're going to talk about that a little bit today, but we're going to actually hit that probably in August when we talk about it. I'm going to show you the redistricting maps in August, where we live, how our elementaries are broken down both demographically and in size, and what the boundaries look like, and then what it looks like in the future for the high school, middle school, and CBIS. So that one is actually coming. Then on the next several slides are what all the tables said inside of their conversations. We had you guys report out, but this is for everybody to see. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on all of these, but you can see what it looks like when we put everybody's thoughts collectively together, which we'll be doing again in the future. Remember, this is elementary days, so we looked at early release came up a lot, if you remember. People were saying, you know, what about those Wednesdays and Thursdays? What are you guys really doing with those right now? And can you do something different to increase kid time? When you're taking 40 minutes away from kids every week, does it balance out what we're doing with teachers for 40 minutes every week? And there's some good conversations about that. So that was one that we'll definitely hit in terms of that. And then looking at continuing to provide developmentally appropriate ideas and strategies for kids. Recess came up often in everybody's table. Giving kids an opportunity. One of the things that we have right now in our recess time is we try to get it in before lunch. I will tell you, that's a good thing and a bad thing, the way that life works sometimes. And so we'll be continuing to look at that in that space. High ability, remember we had Mark talk a little bit about the high ability configuration. That's another one we're going to hit in August. He's going to have a large group meeting as well, but we'll look at that. The testing actually is being done as we speak. I saw 2 buildings today, and all the principals were trying to get everybody in. But what's it look like for that HAA high ability experience for us in our district? And they continue to have consistency across all 5 elementaries. Came up in a lot of conversations, from going to college campuses to field trips that we take and different things like that. So we'll continue to look at that. This was kind of at the very end of everybody's, but obviously the police force, we do have our chief now, Chief Gable. And what does that look like in terms of having a police department inside of a school district? How does that play out and what that looks like? So those were things that we talked about throughout the time. Anybody want to hit anything else that maybe that came about that you've thought about since? Well, tonight we're going to hear about middle level. And how many of you, raise your hands, would love to go back and be in middle school again? Oh, I would. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's about what it would be for all of us. You know, when you think, what was that Jennifer Gardner movie, like 13 and 30 or something, where she goes back in time? You know, if you could take your knowledge and go back, maybe. But if you had to go all the way back and forget your knowledge, that's something. You know what? It's a tough time. It's a tough time for our kids. It's transitioning for teachers. You either love middle level or you're like, can I get to the high school or can I get back to elementary? That's really what it comes down to in that space. Same probably with principals. Do I want to be a middle school principal or do I want to be high school or elementary? And thankfully, the 2 that we have in our team love the levels that they're at. And that's a blessing. So I've asked them to kind of talk a little bit about what it's like to be in our middle school. I know all of your parents, or you know somebody, or a kid that just finished walking through those 2 things, but I thought it would be nice to hear from them in our journey. So we have, huh? Look at this! Hey, very nice. So Mrs. Moran she was a web spider as a kid, traveled up through our middle school when it was probably 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and went to the high school, which is now our middle school. She started off as a teacher. She went to the northern part of the state, came back, was at Center Grove. We won't hold that against her. And she came over here. She was Title I and instructional coach. She's one of our very first instructional coaches when she was doing Title I for us. Went to the web principalship, and then when this opened up, she said, I'd like this opportunity to come and do a 5-6 building. The last time we did strategic planning, we looked at CBIS really hard in terms of what is CBIS? Is it an elementary school? Is it a secondary school? Do the kids get to do activities? Do they not get to do activities? What about basketball? Because with that time, grades 3 and 4 were playing basketball. Grades 5 and 6 were not playing basketball. 6 was starting to travel, but 5th wasn't. So we looked at those things through those lenses, and so Cheryl answered that. Rita, she grew up in Greenwood, so she was not a Franklinite to begin with. Anderson Raven, any other Anderson grads in the room? All right, but she was an Anderson grad, but she then started teaching here. She was a CBIS teacher. When Steve got the job as a high school or for the middle school principalship, he convinced her to come to be assistant principal. She said, I never want to be a principal. I never want to be a principal. I said, oh, yes, you do. Because then Steve went to the high school and Rita graciously agreed to do 1 year. Well, this is year 9, so I'm glad that she continues to play out. Depends what the plan says, right? No, but she's been with us and has done just a really great job. During my listening tour with teachers this year, I will have to say that when I met with the middle school staff, they all praised her. And they praised her because student behaviors were way down. There was consistency across teams. And that was just really great to hear from where I sit in that space. So tonight we're going to hear from the two of them and let their voice carry out what it's like to be a middle schooler. So we're going to start with CBIS. Just click up the one there.
So I don't even know where to stand. I just like to talk. Mine aren't as good as Rita's. I saw hers and then I thought.
Here you go. I need you to. Can you hold that at least? Or?
Oh yeah. Or I could talk really loud. No. So I said I could go back and fix them. I was saying that, or I could go watch the girls play tennis. So I went and played tennis. Dr. C said I only get 5 or 6 minutes, so I'll try to keep this at a minimum. Be respectful, be responsible, be ready to learn is what our motto is here at Custer Baker. We say it every day. We try to practice it every day, and it's on the tongues of everyone at all times. I wanted to show you that. That was a senior project mural, that mural right there. It's on one of our walls here. We have a lot of senior projects that come through our walls, and we support that, but we've used that on our school improvement plan for a couple of years. This is a big year for us. It's our 50th birthday for Custer Baker, and we just got together with the high school to coincide a tailgate for homecoming this year, and then we'll have our building open to the community. So we are the Cubs, and believe it or not, CUBS stands for something. It stands for Creating Unity Between Schools. And if you'll see Creekside, Northwood, Needham, Union, and Webb, those are the 5 elementaries that come together and get dumped into one building, and it is not easy. It's not easy for parents. It's not easy for kids because they've known something for 5 or 6 years of their life, and we took them out of their comfort zone and we dumped them into a building that has 900 people milling around it every day, and it's overwhelming and it's scary until they get here. We've been visiting with our 4th grade groups, working on our transition this week. Each elementary brings their groups to celebrate with us, take a tour with our student council members, and the thing I tell all the groups is the kids tell me, it's so many people. But then you get here and you just got 2 teachers and they take you everywhere you go, just like elementary school. It's really not that different. It's different for us adults, more so than it is the kids. And I don't know if you remember your middle school days, but they didn't give us a tour. They didn't show us where anything was. They didn't practice your lockers with you. They just said, here's your schedule, figure it out. High school, figure it out. We do a lot to prep our kids now and our parents so that transition's easier. So that's our first part of our transition. I saw transition. I wasn't here on the last meeting, so it was good to see that it got so many stars because transitions are hard. Those kind of aligned with some of my concerns, so that was really good. But transitions, we've already started with tours. We have parent meetings coming up in May. We do schedule pickup and have another tour, an opportunity to see your locker and where your classrooms are. So we really try to open our building. And then some of our exceptional needs children come in during the summer Sometimes they do some of their summer services here or just get familiar. We put arrows on the hallway walls so that that student is the only one knows that the red arrows are there. So we do a lot of things behind the scene to make that transition even easier. But we are the Cubs, and it is creating unity between schools because those 5 have to come together as one. I chose to lead in the middle, and I did that. And I have Dr. Clendenning syndrome where I might get a little teary-eyed. I'm a web spider, Carolyn. I'll always be a web spider. But there was something missing at this level. Sorry, guys. And it was, we're still little kids. We're 10 years old. We are elementary. We are not middle schoolers when we come to Custer Baker. Custer Baker's a 5-6 building in the middle, but it's considered an elementary school in the state of Indiana. So I always want to make sure that we remember that and that we're developmentally appropriate. So when Dave Beck retired, I think I put my name in the hat and then I took my name out of the hat. And then I put my name back in the hat because leaving Webb was really hard. It was a great decision. We have a lot of people, we have a big building, we have a whole lot of kids, but we have made so many changes in the last 6 years to make sure that they're settled, that they're ready. We're not perfect and we're not where we want to be, but every year we look at the research and we do professional development and we figure out what 10, 11, and 12-year-olds need and we adjust. And that's what you have to keep doing to make it the best possible learning environment that there is. I want to tell you though, we got to get our kids involved. So you're in a homeroom. We have 15 fifth grade homeroom classes of 24 or 25 kids and 15 sixth grade classes of 24 or 25 kids. That's a lot of kids. And so even though we purposefully put 2 or 3 or 4 Union students, Webb students, Northwood students, Needham students, all in that room, what if it's not the one that was your best friend? So even though we are purposeful about trying to be intentional in the placement of students so you have familiarity, it still maybe wasn't someone that you spent your time at recess with. But we do that, and we try to do that. So then Dr. Clendenning was talking about what is Custer Baker? What is its identity? To be honest with you, there wasn't much for these kids 6 years ago when I came here, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I think we had 4 sponsored club positions and some bowl teams and a few intramurals. And I said, that's not enough. This is only some of the things we offer. They change every year depending on our sponsors and what they want to do. Some are paid, some are not paid. Some teachers just do it because they think it's good for kids. Others take an intramural slot and get a little stipend for it. That's not much either, but it just compensates them a little bit for their time. And we try to tap into the interests of all these kiddos. On top of this, kids also propose clubs to me. They have to do a slide deck or a presentation, tell me who the sponsor is going to be, how many kids can be involved, when it's going to take place. And if it gets approved, their club is approved. And some of them take place during lunch. So they take their trays out in the hallway and they're doing their Pokemon cards or whatever, or in the library because our librarian decided that she would sponsor that during that time. It doesn't always have to be before or after school. We also have choir, band, all those other things too. But we need our kids to get involved and we need them to try different things. And the more things you try, the more invested you get in your school. You have accountability to your school, to your behavior, to your actions, to your respect. You find your best friends. That's why I loved middle school. So 6, 7, and 8, I thought it was the most awesome time in the world. I know that most kids don't think that, but I was a swimmer and I was pretty good at that time. And then you found your people and then you were kind of noted for being a good athlete. And then I decided to be a cheerleader. I don't know why, but I did. And I liked that too. And student council and all the things that come with it. Our student council members are buzzing around this building every day doing things. Fixing bulletin boards, sorting out, they're all handwriting notes for iLearn right now for students, giving back, doing things. They also are making some little gifts for teachers' mailboxes for stress during testing and all that kind of thing. But they're actively involved in what we're doing. And when our aquarium's dirty, you better bet they'll tell someone on that aquarium club they need to do something about it. So I wanted to kind of just divide this into the 3 things behind the scenes that kind of make Custer Baker what we are. PLCs are our district initiative for professional learning communities and why we're doing early release on Wednesdays right now. at this level. And I have to tell you, I understand the instructional minutes. But the other side of that is the time that we give teachers to actually come together and look at data and make decisions and formulate common assessments and talk about what's going well and what's not going well and what they need to change to make our instruction better is important too. So just keep that in your back pocket when you're thinking about decisions regarding early release or late start. It also, when I think about retention of teachers, Wednesdays have a different feel. Not because they're leaving 40 minutes early. We really do like to be with each other. And we like to make good decisions for our kids and feel good about what we're teaching and what we're doing. So it is important. Successful middle school teaming. We are teamed here at Custer Baker. Middle school just means in the middle, 10 to 15-year-olds and what's developmentally appropriate for them. Middle school is a title of a building. Teaming, our 5th graders have 2 teachers on a team, and our 6th graders have 3 teachers on a team, and that kind of gets them from 1 teacher at elementary school, gradually releasing them up to where they're going to have lots and lots of teachers. I'll be honest, over the last couple of years, we've had to switch up the teaming a little bit because of enrollment shifts, and we find that 2-man teams in 5th grade and 6-man teams in 6th grade are the most effective, because you get 3 teachers in 5th grade that go, it was November and I did not know this about this child. When you get more kids, they want to know them well. They want to know what they do on the weekend. They want to go watch them ice skate. They want to watch them compete in a soccer game. And sometimes the more kids you get, the harder it is to make those connections and to do that. So we really like 2-man teaching teams in 5th grade and 6-man teaching teams in 6th grade. And then middle level education, AMLE has been our driving force. It's the Association of Middle Level Education. It's been our driving force about the research behind what kids need at this age. And so we have brought in experts from AMLE to do professional development with our teachers and guys, this is a real thing. How do you settle them after recess so they're ready to learn? That is a real thing. So what do you need to do in your classroom to engage their brains so that they're ready for learning? And AML helps us with that. It helps us with strategies in our classroom. What do you do for boredom busters? What do you do to engage children? What do you do when the brain of a 10-year-old now needs to switch activities about every 6 to 9 minutes? Because that's what the attention span is. Due mostly to electronics. And how do you take those away and engage them in a different way that learning is meaningful and it will stay with them? That's what AMLE has done for us. So interdisciplinary teaming, our professional learning communities, and then doing what's best for kids ages 10 to 12. So I left this slide blank on purpose because what keeps me up at night? There's a lot. I could list a lot. One of my teachers asked the other day, do you sleep? I go, not very well. But that's who I am. But these are some of our current student council members who were waiting to give a tour to one of our elementary schools the other day. And the first thing I wanted to say is 34 years into education, a lot has changed. One of the biggest changes doesn't affect the people sitting in this room, because you're dedicated parents wanting to make our schools better and our experiences for our kids better. That doesn't mean you agree with everything that's going on in our school system, and you have a voice. But what I see from a teacher in 1991 to a principal in 2026 is I really used to have a partnership and a team with our community and our parents. And sometimes I feel like we're working against each other. And that keeps me up at night. If we're on the same team, boy, do our kids grow and do they thrive. When we're not on the same team, we're fighting each other, and that doesn't help the student ever. And they should always be the one that we're considering, even when the adults don't agree. That's what keeps me up at night. How do you solve it? I don't know. When I was principal at Webb, Angie Clendenning was my counselor at Webb, and she and I decided we were going to do parent nights. That's what we were going to do. We're going to do parent nights, give them tips and tricks, and build this relationship with school, and guess who showed up? Yeah. It was a great idea, right? So then it was like, bring a friend, bring someone that you don't think would ever come. And they'd cancel. You know, they need us in crisis a lot, and we need to be for them for that too. But how do we do that, and how do we build the trust between our families again? I don't have the answer, just what keeps me up at night. The other thing that keeps me up at night is what can we do to hook the kids that we're struggling with? Relationships are so very important. We did an activity, my teachers got a little frustrated with me. Megan might agree. But we did a card sort. Every kid's name was on a card, and in your team, who do you have the connection with? What do you know about them? Not their math grade, but that their sister's brother's cousin had a baby elephant last week. I mean, what do you know about them? What do you really know about them? And then we discovered there were some kids in our building in January that nobody had a real connection with yet. So we're intentional about that. And then our exploratory teachers take it, and our counselors take it, and the admin team takes it, and we make sure that we make those intentional connections so that no one slips through the cracks. That doesn't mean we fix everything. It doesn't mean that we solve all the world's problems, but we try. We're intentional about it. That keeps me up at night. What also keeps me up at night is teacher retention and teacher burnout, because it's real in a classroom today to not just be able to instruct. It's being mom, it's being counselor, it's being nurse, it's being everything. And that takes away our minutes of learning. Behaviors keep me up at night. I don't want to say if you're a more engaging teacher, that's not going to happen in your classroom, because that's not true. But how do we support each other? How do we support the kids and give them what they need, and the adults what they need, so they can actually teach children? That keeps me up at night.
They just can't hear because they were born the wrong year, and they were like, we had a big change. I wish it was my year to yeah, but I mean, you don't throw those down
Because like last time I said, I brought up very simple. And then I realized, my wife and I have to that's part of the
reading that's and it's really nice so I get my work does that, to get an idea of like who's going to
that's my
One minute.
oh yeah.
My son did that on his SAT. That was a requirement of graduation. Yeah, so he didn't care. He did like 11. And now is there anything you think that I don't know? That's gotta go. It's also like, house design and people that I'm right there.
Finish your thought.
I'm also not in the trench.
All right.
So I'm going to defer to you guys.
All right.
I don't see an issue with it, but
We're going to do a real quick whip around. We'll start back here. What did you talk about here?
We said it's important to keep social and behavior support teams so that academics can continue going on.
That's just one.
Want me to explore?
No, I'll come back to this. Yep. Keith, over here to table. Yep, please, with you guys.
So Keith, just based off of kind of the presentations earlier, the teaming aspect.
Okay.
Sounds like that's very positive for both teachers and the kids.
All right, great. Keith up here. What do you guys think?
Electives and the high school credits.
Okay.
Good balance of technology versus books and paper.
Yep. Stop right there. Come back there.
Okay.
Keep
Teaming.
teaming. Okay. Keep teaming.
We said all of these, but keeping little.
Okay. Yep. Good.
We're just reading the academic part.
Yes, there's academic right now. Yep. Go ahead.
Okay, world cultures, band and choir, and teaming.
Okay. All right. Keep teaming.
What do you think it is? Teaming.
Very good surprise. All right. Let's quickly look at explore. What should we explore? We'll go start at the table. What do you guys like to explore?
Working on the communication between 6th and 7th grade.
Transition.
Yes.
All right. Good. Explore.
More writing.
Okay. Get right. Okay. Explore.
To expand languages like MSL, architecture, and engineering and high school.
Okay. Explore.
So with the high school courses being offered at the middle school, we'd like to see biology brought back at the middle school.
Okay. Explore.
Industrial arts and partnering with the Boys and Girls Club for, this is where they're going,
Yep.
life skills and career readiness, so using outside entities so you're not always putting it on yourself.
You guys have a big push in that right now, right?
Huge, with lots of grant money.
Okay.
So.
Good to know.
Please help us.
Yes. Explore.
Interventions at the middle.
Interventions at the middle level. Yep. That is, the state is pushing some of that, but we also continue to think about that. The kids really love IXL. Did you know that? Rita, is that right?
I'm sorry.
The kids love.
I'm sorry, I asked her a question.
Is that okay? I said the kids love IXL.
They do.
Yeah. They do not, but it's a really good resource. For anybody who doesn't know, IXL is a computerized program we use for interventions in math and language to help. Over here, explore.
Different technology, software and platforms. Sometimes kids only know Google and haven't had exposure to Microsoft.
Amen. My daughter says they Google crap all the time. I'm an Excel Microsoft guy.
Well, I will tell you, the kids, the high school kids, tell us that happened a lot. Here's a horror story that Mrs. Dutton I got to hear. when I brought the kids that were in first year freshmen at the college back over Christmas, we had a student say, yeah, I sat down, I got to have an open book test, I was so excited. They were in Microsoft, I pulled up my notes, and they were gone. They didn't save them. And so they had no notes for an open book first freshman test. Excel is the other one that we get to hear a lot about, that we don't do enough in Excel to help. So that's a good one. Explore over here.
I said, like we kind of have the step system from Custer Baker to the middle school in so many areas, and maybe just more opportunities at the 6th grade level for elective classes. Like there's a big jump between 7th and 8th grade, but 5th and 6th grade it feels like they're the same. So if there was just maybe some more opportunities.
Okay. All right. Thanks. I did explore over here.
More focused time for high ability kids to also have the opportunity the same way as maybe some of the kids that need remediation to be challenged additionally.
Okay. Explore.
We just talked about more exploration with the college and career pathways, front loading that high school credit in middle school to allow more opportunities once they get to high school to get out in the community, that junior, senior year, for internships and whatnot.
Okay. Well, thank you. Those were great. Grade configuration. This is going to be a real quick one because we're going to actually spend a lot of time in the fall on this one. At your table, on a scale of like 1 to 5, 1 being we should keep the present configuration as we have 5, 6, 7, 8. 5 would be changed to something else. At your table, come up with what you can kind of agree on, and then just write that number and we'll quickly share out. You have about 3 minutes to have a quick conversation. 1 is keep, 5 is change.
Just a practical guide, building like the 6th grade, like the middle school, what's the school, transition part of it. Now, grade 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8 here.
I like it. Yes,
That's how you feel. That's
All right, 30 seconds.
I would not go to I need to
Twelve, 9, 6, 1 minute. We are 5 change. 5 change. 1 is key. All right. Finish up that last thought. Put your answer on paper. 1 is key. 1 is key. 5 is change. Unless you switch. All right. Here's the great part that I want you to know. All these conversations, this is actually a microcosm of what takes place when we start to talk about this. Nobody's going to agree exactly what the right configuration is. We did this last time. The strategic plan focused probably 2 entire sessions just talking about grade configuration. And in the end, everybody resided back to let's keep what we have. So, this real quickly, What did your table come up with? 3, 5, remember 5 has changed 4, 1, a 3, 3, 2.
I think your numbers might be back.
What do you have? Do you want to change or keep?
Change.
Okay. That you're right.
Okay.
Yep. What did you guys come up with? 1.
3.75.
All right. 3.75. All right. Well, we're going to keep that thought because when we come back after summer break, we're going to actually spend an entire 90 minutes looking at. Yeah, we're going to break between. Yeah, I know. We have one more in May and then come back in August on grade configuration. So the last thing we're going to do here is look at extracurricular and resources that go in. One that I want to just quickly talk about is Chromebooks. Right now, we are a one-to-one world. I will tell you that looking ahead to the future, what I think the state's going to push is to eliminate one-to-one. They're starting next year. I think everybody knows this, but we will not be allowed to have wireless devices from home in the building out for the kids. So no smartwatches, no earbuds, no cell phones. We have a policy that's coming out here soon that the board will get to vote on. That will go in our handbooks. And what's going to basically say is the kids have to have a secure place for their resources, for those things I just mentioned. For us, it's probably going to be the backpack or the cars or don't bring them at all. But it won't be a fight. The kids will not be allowed to do it. So the next step is move from away from one-to-one. And it all goes back to screen time and what the kids are doing. So at your table, same thing. 5 is we should move away from one-to-one. 1 is keep one-to-one. What does your table think we should do with regard to that piece of technology?
At the middle level?
Yes, middle level. Middle level.
Elevator fees versus what is one?
One-to-one is every kid. Yes.
One was don't change.
One is change. Should I keep it the same way? All right. So 1 is going to be
Because even, I know
5 is change. Okay. Yeah. 1 is keep, 5 is change.
He wants to keep track of his stuff.
All right. Finish up your thought at your table. All right. Put that. Remember, 1 is keep, 5 is change. Make sure you have something on the paper. Yes. Middle level. Only middle level. Only middle level. Only middle level. Only middle level. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Make sure you have it on the paper. What did you take us come up with? Rita, what do we say?
Well, I don't know that we're all.
Huh?
I don't think we can.
Just for the middle level.
Just?
Well, we're still, we haven't really
You haven't go with the number yet. All right. Tina, what does your group think?
Well, and we can do like.
All right, you'll have 2 more minutes to decide. Wow. That's all we have.
We're good with that. It came out of 2.
All right. No, you can put middle school stuff in. You should get the average. 5, 6 should, or we don't even know what 5, 6. Well, you can put 6, 7, 8, grade 5. Yeah. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Rita, back to you. Did you guys make a decision? This is what middle school is like. Okay. All right. So there's a 3. Well, once again, and there's madness to my thought process here right now. All the conversation that's going on about this is exactly what's happening. We know that kids need technology and resources. If they're going to write, if they're going to live in an AI world, what are we going to do? We also know, as Cheryl said, that young brain is being easily modified because of that. Here's an interesting fact that you may not know. Over a year ago, we entered into a lawsuit, class action lawsuit, on social media. And they just recently asked for the data. How many terabytes have we given them?
Almost 8.
8 terabytes on social media on our devices.
That's just the email.
And so you see how disruptive it could be. But it's also a great resource. Mr. Young asked, well, what's our alternative when we leave? And I didn't give you one. Because we know we need technology. Really the question is, do they get to take it home? Probably. That's probably the question. We also spend over $500,000 every year on Chromebooks. That's a big chunk of change when we're traveling this road of how to do this on resources. So, what'd you guys come up with? What was your 3? 3? All right. 4. Okay. This table had a really interesting conundrum. What'd you guys come up with?
Stayed up home. It depends. No, the older students wouldn't have a need for it. The younger students definitely don't, but the same thing. Does it even need to go home?
Okay.
And if it doesn't go home, then when are they going to have time to create all those, or do all their, what?
The papers.
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
3.7.
3.7. So we're moving towards changes.
2.4.
Oh, side back.
3.
3. 1.
As a resource.
Okay, all right. 1. All right. Well, the 3.58.
More discussion needed.
We will definitely have more discussion on technology in the future. The last thing in just a few minutes, and it's really looking to the future. Are there extracurriculars that you didn't hear tonight, or you think we should explore at grades 5, 6, 7, 8? As a table, write those down. You got about 3 minutes again, and we'll close out with Mr. Ahouse and his debriefing what he heard today.
As an extracurricular.
Any extra.
Entrance-wise, they probably couldn't do it, but I'd love to see gymnastics.
It's still it's just a sport. Moving to north and south, I think.
They did. I don't
Oh, the spider? What's a wet spider?
Family and stuff.
All right. I know that we're running out of time for today on extracurriculars. Please make sure you put something on your paper. All right, let's all come back together again. I'm not going to ask you to debrief extracurricular because of time. I will bring it back to us in our next meeting. Before we talk about the next meeting, Mr. Ahaus, what did you hear today, kind of this whole process of middle level learning?
Okay, I wrote down some thoughts on each of the different parts that went through some of the things that I heard. So I'm Mr. Ahaus, by the way. I'm almost a CFO at this point. But I was at the high school as a principal and middle school as a principal and back to the high school as teachers, everything since 2000. So I've been here for a while. But anyway, some of the things I heard is just some similarities listening to both Cheryl and Rita talk. It's interesting, with some experience in those, but, our elementary, it almost like our elementary buildings get to be elementary buildings. We're elementary. That's what we do. At the high school, we're high school. That's what we do. But you hear both of them saying, well, we're not this, but we're not this. Yeah. We're not an elementary, but we're not a high school, but we're not this. So they're spending their time trying to figure out what they are, which is so indicative of what the kids are. The kids are trying to figure that out. So, on a side note, actually, people ask me, what's the difference between being a principal in both buildings? And I say, well, it's the phone call home. Phone call home as a middle school principal, the answer was, well, my kid's never done that. Or, you sure? And then at the high school, they're like, what do they do now? At the middle, it's like, I can't believe, what's my kid doing? They're doing this. They're trying, I don't understand what's going on here. By high school, they got it all figured out. And so do the parents, right? So anyway. So some of the things there, transitions are important to everybody. Teachers, parents, kids, like we heard it all around it. That transition, that communication. And some of the ways they're doing that is the activities, the relationships. Parent, trying to connect the parents, like you're trying to build all those relationships. So, and that's teacher to teacher too. So, they're both saying that time with teachers with other teachers is important to build those relationships and do that stuff. The accountability piece was interesting. We jumped into that just a little bit. Nowhere in there was how strong are your relationships with kids, or how many activities are they involved in? Or, it's testing. So here we're talking about all of these things, and then we go over shift to the accountability, and none of those things are in our accountability. Now, can they connect to that? Do they create environments where you can do those kind of things? Certainly, but you're totally different metrics and there's a finite amount of resources and time and energy and effort that people have, and you're almost shooting at like two different metrics there. So it's interesting how you pull those two things together. And then finally, just walking around the room, listening to some of the other stuff. Teaming obviously came up. It was on all the different boards. So music to Rita and share with yours. But technology, I heard a lot of, even not what was on the board, but technology. So it was good because there was a lot of stuff around how do we use it, how do we do that, but then also this balance between what's too much, and are they on it too often, and all that kind of stuff, and then all those kind of opportunities. So, and then again, transitions, lots of conversation around kids going from building to building and getting different experiences when they're there. So, I don't know, a lot of the same stuff, but.
Thank you very much. So today was middle level. The next time we meet, May the 13th, I believe is the date. We're going to hear from Ryan to start with on what's the high school experience for our present kids. We're also going to spend a little bit more time on the pathways, which probably will take us back a little bit to middle level, because it really does mean something for Rita and Ryan as they leave their buildings. And then we're going to take June and July off. We're going to come back August, September. August is going to be special education and looking at special ed in totality, K to 12 or pre-K to 12, and what that looks like for us. In September, we're going to have a work session where we think about all of this and start to begin putting it together. My goal then is in October that we take a very rough draft to the board and they can hear it and see it, and the community can hear and see it. Well, then in November, be finalizing that draft and having the board either vote in November or December on our strategic plan for the next 8 years. That's kind of where we're headed. I realize that's a half a semester, but that also gives us a half a semester to begin putting it in place. And that's really what we're trying to talk about. So that's where we're at in the journey. If there's something that you think, man, we haven't talked about, he's omitted, there was a needs structure out here that we haven't really talked about, let me know. Shoot Mrs. Betts, Dr. Warland, or myself an email, and we'll put that together and then make sure we have that conversation. As you can see, when we talk about ideas on grade configuration and technology or different things, there's a lot of opinions about how we get there. I can tell you when we're going to talk a little about redistricting a little bit. Oh man, at the elementary level, there's opinions on that. And we'll talk a little bit about that. The last time we did was 2020. We've changed a lot in just 5 years. We're going to change a lot in 8 years. We're going to show the demographics. So that's where we're headed. Are there any questions or thoughts about tonight or anything you want to see in the future? Yes, Jamie.
I just want to compliment you and or whoever created all of us, because I think it's a very good dynamic of staff, teachers, admin, and parents. So like I've just noticed our conversations are just so interesting and we're coming from different perspectives. So I just want to say thank you for that, because I think you've done a great job putting us together.
It's my team that did it, so thank you very much. I appreciate that very much. Anything else?
I had an April 30th.
We have one.
I'm just
Is that right?
wondering
We
if
have
that's-
any-
And it's
Then the
May
other day-
14th. It's
Oh,
May
okay.
14th. That's awesome.
Mrs. Betts and I were looking at it. What do we have?
April 30th and May 4th.
Okay, so April 30th. If we made it, I will get back to you. April 30th, I do have. Thank you, and then we may not do the May 14th one. Yep. So. Yep. So we probably will not do May. We'll do April 30th. Be out for May, June, and July. For that 3 months. So thank you, Nicole. Appreciate that. All right. Anything else? Thank you, everybody. Leave your papers. We'll pick them up. Have a great night. We'll email you the slide deck. If we don't have your email yet, leave it on the paper. We'll get it. Thank you. Good to see you.